Of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everybody. Just before I get a motion to approve the agenda, I have a change. There's a new claims amount. It's actually lower than what's stated in the agenda. It's $158,843.45. And so with that, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Is there a second? All right, any public comment on that? All right, if not, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon.
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Then we'll move on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So move, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? All right, if not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon.
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. And I know most of our business today, if not all of it, is going to happen in executive session with possible action to follow. So prior to going into executive session and taking up those items, I'm going to ask if there's any public comment, either just generally or on any of the agenda items that we're going to discuss in executive session today. And I'll give you another opportunity after we come out, but didn't want people sitting around if they didn't want to be.
Good
Morning.
morning. Mark Nordsey, 7900 South Pinewood. Today, as I was driving out here, it kind of dawned on me that we have railroad tracks in Lincoln County. And what's going on in East Palestine, Ohio, just kind of raised a concern. And it harkened back to a conversation I had with Commissioner Aaron's after the Duren show, when I asked what Lincoln County does in an emergency situation. Obviously, Lincoln County doesn't have a lot of residential people who aren't going to be self-sufficient like our agricultural folks are. So, there isn't a big need. But he mentioned in that conversation that they spend the bulk of the time preparing for train disasters. And I think that that's what I'd like to chat about today, is to maybe have Harold come and make a presentation as what is the disaster plan for train traffic through Lincoln County. And that train traffic, realizing that ours isn't probably what went through East Palestine, ours is probably more corn and ethanol and whatever else. But nonetheless, disaster, are we prepared for it? Is there anything that he needs to be prepared for it? Are the agencies working together? That's kind of my thought, to just make sure we're prepared. So if at some point, if it's appropriate, maybe get a presentation before the council on what is the disaster plan should a train derail in Lincoln County. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Any other public comment, either on this or any agenda item that we have?
I don't hear well. What were you asking?
If you have public comment on any item on our agenda or otherwise.
I'd like to talk about the pipeline.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you have an overhead projector?
You put it right down on the, Sean's gonna come and help you.
There you go.
Okay. Besides being hard of hearing, I need glasses.
Me too.
Okay. Don Clausen, 47174, 275th Street, Harrisburg, South Dakota. South Dakota Codified Laws 49-41B-4.2C describes a transmission facility as a gas or liquid transmission pipeline which has a nominal diameter of less than 4 inches and not more than 1 mile of the entire line constructed outside the public right-of-way. Because SCS, Summit Carbon Solutions, and also Navigator are proposing 8-inch pipelines, with most of the line being constructed outside of the public right-of-way, it is not within keeping of the South Dakota codified laws. They're proposing CO2 pipelines on either side of the Klondike Road, and such pipelines would most certainly quench development in North Lincoln County for a number of reasons. The easement contract is despicable, to say the least, because they will not allow development of the land described within the easement contract. The easement contract does not allow development. Landowners would not be allowed to improve their property, such as building additional structures of any kind. For example, additional housing for children, tool storage buildings or repair shed, equipment storage, animal or poultry shelters. Secondly, landowners would not be able to purchase insurance to cover the carbon dioxide. Thirdly, some years ago, I complained to this commission about our tax having gone up 233% 2 years ago and another 80% last year, and I was told that I live in a highly desirable area. With a CO2 pipeline crossing through landowners' property, it would not be desirable, and thus the landowner's property would become unsaleable because nobody would want to purchase it, knowing of a possible rupture of a CO2 pipeline. And number 4, aside from not wanting to purchase land, having a CO2 pipeline buried in the property, nobody'd even want to buy land within close proximity of the pipeline, knowing of the possibility of pipeline rupturing. Thus, a CO2 pipeline would most certainly interfere with the development of this area in North Lincoln County. As I understand it, your responsibility as commissioners is to ensure that South Dakota state laws are enforced and citizens are protected. Nothing should substantially impair the health, safety, or welfare of the inhabitants in Lincoln County. Carbon dioxide is an extremely dangerous gas because it's heavier than oxygen and thus displaces oxygen, asphyxiating animals and humans without distinction, as well as incapacitating engines that rely on oxygen. Not only is it lethal, carbon dioxide is also colorless, tasteless, and odorless. Without expensive, sophisticated breathing equipment, first responders will not be able to enter the area, a contaminated area at all, without jeopardizing their very lives, subjecting themselves to rapid death. Rapid responders to a CO2 transmission pipeline rupture, spewing out thousands of tons of deadly gas in seconds, they could not supply sufficient oxygen to a large number of endangered human beings. Thus, carbon dioxide does substantially impair the health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants. It's not for Lincoln County at all.
Sir, can you just wrap up your comments for us, please? Can you wrap up your comments for
Yeah,
us?
I'm done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just beg of you not to approve of any pipeline in Lincoln County.
Thank you for coming in today and speaking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else here for public comment?
Michelle Jensen, 27673, Highway 11. I also want to speak about the carbon dioxide pipelines. I agree with everything this gentleman said. I jotted down a few notes to stand up here and speak. Probably my number one concern is safety, as is everyone else. Everyone else is concerned with it. The high pressure portion of it at 3,400 PSI absolutely blows my mind. When my husband and I were sitting in a meeting with Summit as they were proposing their despicable easement, they told us 3,400 PSI, and my husband said, 3,400 PSI, okay. So my semi-tire has 100 PSI, and when that blows up in my face, it does a lot of damage. What is 3,400 PSI gonna do? A lot. There is no research. I am a veterinarian. I speak research, facts. I keep asking them for facts or something that shows me safety studies. You know, anytime I go to use a drug, it's been approved, it's been shown, what the side effects are, so there's, every time I ask them, I get company propaganda. I did want to speak a little bit about financial stuff. My husband and I purchased a 60-acre piece of property with 3 building eligibilities on it. We paid a lot of money. We pay a lot of money in taxes. It was a resale development type thing for us with our home on it. We built a beautiful new home, as did some friends of ours. So we have 2 of them. We now have a adjacent 20 acres, which is where they want to put this pipeline. It is actually for sale, has been since this started, and we keep being told no because of this carbon pipeline. So don't picture sections of land, don't picture, a 20-acre parcel. So I also just told you how close it is to our brand-new home, as well as several other homes. And so lastly, I guess I'm going to ask, I sat in this room last Tuesday at the Planning and Zoning meeting where the room was full. There was comment after comment after comment about concerns of this. And so I guess every time I go to look for answers or go to look for help, I called out to the PUC when I first found out about this and first started. And I said, just for curiosity's sake, what is a setback on this pipeline? And they said, well, we don't set that, your counties do. So I'm pretty confused about some of that stuff, but I guess I sat in here and listened to the County Planning and Zoning Committee approve unanimously that there should be some type of a setback. And I guess if no one else is gonna look out for us, I'm asking you guys to please help continue looking out for your citizens, your taxpayers, your landowners. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have public comment today? If 2 people have spoken about it, you can sure come up. I would ask you to not make it redundant, but you haven't heard it, so go ahead.
This is mainly concerning setbacks. Maybe you've heard it, but in, I think it was 1986.
Sir, can I get your name and address,
Oh,
please?
my name is Alfred Slothog. I'm from Brandon. I own land in northern Lincoln County. My family does. In 1986, in Cameroon, which is in Alaska, there was a kind of a freak of nature pressure release in the bottom of a lake, and it released carbon dioxide. And people suffocated as far as 16 miles away from this rupture. It killed 1,746 people and 3,500 head of livestock, as well as anything else that needed oxygen. I think that's something to think about when you think about setbacks. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you for coming over.
Pardon?
Thank you for coming in. Any other public comment today? All right, we're gonna go to executive session. Bill, Terry, let's take care of you quick.
The one item I have is to award a bid for a truck chassis. We opened bids two and a half weeks ago here. We got one bidder, and the bidder is from the bid is from Billion Chevrolet in Sioux Falls. The bid amount is for $74,207. Now, I will say, and I think I put it in my the packet here. We spec'd out a 550. What is bid is a 650. Now, the reason that it's a 650 what they bid is because when we initially started this whole process with them, they had a build slot for a 550. And it was in line to be done as a 550. So we spec'd out, we made our spec for the bid, a 550 chassis. Well, after we opened the bid, a week later, we find out that the factory changed it to a 650 build slot rather than a 550. All the other specs are met. except it's just a heavier duty truck, which is not a big deal because we're gonna be putting on a pretty heavy box on that thing for signs and post pounders. So I would recommend, since this is the only one we can find, that we award this bid and we get our name put on that slot, so.
All right, any public input on this item? If not, consider a motion.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, just a quick question, sorry.
Go ahead.
Terry, would this be in line with the MSRP on this? Is there any overcharges on this vehicle?
No, this is actually less than, I believe, the MSRP, I believe it is on it, so.
Okay, thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Madam Chair, who was the second on this motion?
Commissioner Aaron's.
Thank you. Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, then I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session, please.
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Will you call the roll, please?
This is for 125 to sub 1.
Sub 1 and sub 3 and 4.
Okay. Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. All right. What are we doing, Bill? Want to do the,
I'm going to ask for action on a purchase agreement for a property on Northwest Street for $329,900 with a $5,000 deposit on it, which is non-refundable. We do have conditions that we can go ahead and not go through with the purchase, and the purchase date is April 28th for closing. So this would be the site that is being proposed for the courthouse.
okay,
So
does
I'm
anybody
asking
have,
for action.
okay, does anybody have any questions for Bill? All right, if not, I'd consider a motion.
Comments, public comment?
I will after I take motions.
Okay. I would so move for the purchase of the property from CHS for $329,900.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. Any public comment on this item? Hearing none, seeing none. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I don't have any objection to the purchase price or to the property itself, but just explain why I'll be voting the way I do. I still am supportive of the campus concept, and so I'll be voting no today.
Thank you for that comment, Commissioner. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
No.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
No.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. So with that, that will fail based on our resolution.
No, Madam Chair, just a correction. This is a purchase. This is not solidifying that this will be the site. That is the reason for my no vote, is to make sure that there are conditions that we have to meet on the site before we truly pick it as the location for the courthouse. This is just
That's
a
in the
purchase.
purchase agreement.
It is in the purchase agreement that the final out is final selection on the site.
So we can go ahead and make a
three would
purchase,
actually
3 to
be the
2, we
purchase.
could still purchase it.
That's
So
fine.
there'll be a second vote to actually
Okay,
make
so the
that.
purchase itself passes, but
Yes,
we're not
Madam
making
Chair.
a decision that that's our final site.
That's my understanding.
And I voted no, just so there's no confusion on that down the road.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
got it. So it passes.
Yes,
We're clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't following you.
that's all right. Sorry, Madam Chair.
That's all right. All right, other action that we need to take today, Bill? Is that it? All right. Consider a motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Second.
Call that, please.
Commissioner Aaron's? Yes. Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Have a good week, everybody.